Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 24 of Swiss Army Sports. Today is November 23rd in the Big 2025. I'm your host, Will Spain, former long snapper for the Troy Trojans, Allspeed Governors, and partially Houston Cougars. Joined by my side here on the table is my co-host, former offensive lineman for the Hendrix College Warriors, Luke Wallman. And joining us for the first time as a new member of Swiss Army Sports is our new third co-host, former kicker for the Houston Christian Huskies, as well as the Troy Trojans, Chase Cross, joining us from Houston, Texas. Welcome, Chase, to the pod officially.
Appreciate you guys having me on. I'm ready to talk some ball, and I love what you guys have been doing. I've been tuning in, so I'm really excited to be a part of it going forward, and I hope to do my part, kind of enhance this and bring good ball knowledge to you guys.
We love it. Well, what I love the most is we obviously disagree on some things, which is going to make some good content. Because me and Luke are on the same wavelength, a little bit too much. We spend too much time around each other.
Yeah, we definitely are going to disagree a lot on a lot of things, but you know that's the good thing. That's what's going to make it fun. So
that is, that's what's going to make it fun. So the agenda today, we're going to do a Week 13 recap with our college football dogs of the week. Swiss Army Sports Top 25, and if you noticed, no panic meter this week. We're too late in the season. It's either you're in or you're not. No panic. We got our CFP predictions for this fourth release on Tuesday, as well as we're going to dive into the heat of this conference title game races. And, I mean, we've got some awesome G5 title game races, especially in Coosa, as we noticed when Kennesaw State knocked off Missouri State late in that game. So we're going to get into that. A little fun thing today with our new co-host, the Mount Rushmore of college football rivalries. Each of the boys will go in order of whatever Siri tells us to, and we're going to pick our top four, a top four of college football rivalries. It can be anything as far as, like, the Battle of the Ravine in D2, but the real game happened on last Saturday, Harvard and Yale, not that other game that happens in the Big Ten. NFL Week 12 recap. It was a great week in NFL this week, especially on that America's Game of the Week on Fox. Tom Brady, questionable words after a play. It caught me a little off guard. But if anyone's got the pass, it's got to be Brady, right?
1,000%. He owns the Raiders partially. I mean, I basically look at the community he works in.
Fair enough. Monday Night Football preview and best bets, college basketball picks, recap from this past week, our Swiss Army Sports college basketball top 25. And again, we got Chase's input on these top 25, so it did shake things up a little bit on both football and basketball. Table soccer for the first time on the pod. World Cup qualifiers winding down. We've got the majority of the field. We're waiting on 6 to enter. 4 of those will come from UEFA over in Europe, and then 2 from our honestly, my little favorite thing the World Cup does, which is the Intercontinental Playoffs, which is such a weird tournament with some very low-tier teams most of the time. But it's going to be a fun one, especially with the Democratic Republic of the Congo being involved this year, which is an insane run for the DRC. And more teams this year has made a lot more teams, interesting small countries qualify for the FIFA World Cup this year. And then our best of the weekend, as we do on every Sunday/Monday episode. Our football picks this week. Again, Chase will not be involved in the picks this week. He will be involved next. Not involved in the punishment for football, but will be in basketball. We'll go based off win percentage in basketball. Our first game to talk about, MIZZOU, headed into Norman, Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner. Yeah. And we've took Oklahoma across the board here, and they kind of held their own and dominated the rest of this game. Any input on that, Luke?
Prbula coming back did scare me a little
bit. That threw me off. I did not know he was coming back.
I know. I knew he was, questionable, and what I read was he's probably not going to play just because he hadn't practiced at all, but he did play, and that did scare me. But Oklahoma took care of business with that great defense.
Honestly, watching that game, I think OU's got probably the best defense in the entire country, just from what I've seen. They're balling out. And Mateer's getting enough done on offense. I really like Satania too. I didn't really think Mizzou was in this game after Oklahoma scored that first touchdown. It was all Oklahoma the rest of the way. And even though, you said Prbula did come back, I didn't see a ton out of him really in his first game back to warrant any type of concern for the Sooners. So Oklahoma rolled.
Absolutely. That backed up touchdown play for Oklahoma, I thought was pretty much a trendsetter for the rest of that game, and obviously you agree they continue to roll throughout. Our next game, Louisville, headed into Fort Worth, Texas, played SMU, the Money Boys, the Money Ponies. Me and Luke sensibly took SMU here, knowing Louisville was pretty banged up and coming off some bad losses. The producer took Louisville, which has, if you'll see in the standings, jeopardizes his lead a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's had a pretty good chokehold on our standings for the majority of our season. But, I didn't catch much of this game, mostly scoreboard watch. Looked like SMU pretty much had this one in the bag the entire game. Luke, any input on this? 38-6 win is what I remember from SMU.
And also with Louisville, Miller Moss was healthy. I think they just rolled with the freshman quarterback who ended up getting hurt and then went to their other third string, redshirt sophomore, junior, or something like that. So Moss didn't play, and as soon as I saw he wasn't playing, I was like, this is so free. But Jennings was my who's going to pop off. He did with 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, great performance. SMU had this thing from the jump. As soon as they scored that first touchdown, I was like, oh, this thing's over.
Really, I'm just
100%.
not too shocked by the way this one unfolded. SMU is a team that I've been pretty high on all season, even though their record probably doesn't show where they should be. I really like what Jennings has done out there. And Louisville's a team that I thought was extremely overrated, especially when the initial rankings came out, when them and Virginia were pretty high up there. I think Louisville's kind of crashed down a little bit to earth. And like I said, that the Miller Moss situation definitely was a little bit concerning, considering that he was healthy for this game and he was a healthy scratch. So, but the Ponies are looking real good, and they could end up in that ACC championship game.
100%. Next up, USC headed into Eugene, played the Oregon Ducks. We all three were on the Ducks, and the Ducks just kind of kept USC at an arm's length distance this entire game. USC definitely might have showed some fight, tried to come back late in that second half. Just wasn't enough to get it done against Oregon, who I think is by far the third best team in the Big Ten. Yeah, I think they are definitely a step behind Indiana and Ohio State, but this Oregon team is good enough to make the playoffs as is right now, unless catastrophe happens next week, which it could. It could. But it was a good Oregon team last night against USC, and I was pretty excited what I saw from the Oregon offense against a decent USC defense. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, they took care of business. I think that was pretty obvious that they were going to do it. I really didn't watch much of this game. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, you remember my crib? We didn't have it on.
Yeah, I know. What game were we watching?
I don't remember.
But yeah, I mean, Oregon did what they needed to do. Now we needed to slip up next week. So
we were watching.
I did watch a good portion of this game. I was pretty impressed with Oregon's offense in this one. I mean, Oregon's defense has played well throughout the season, but Oregon's offense, I've had a lot of questions, especially since the Iowa game. Wasn't really too sold on Dante Moore in the passing attack, and I thought in moments it looked really good, and they had some wide receivers actually step up and play really well. I'm a little bit concerned for USC, kind of how they managed the, going into halftime and just that game in general. I was pretty high on Jaden Maiava, and I didn't think he played up to his standard throwing the 2 picks, but overall I think Oregon's a really good football team. And how about Dan Lanning, sending a little shot to the SEC, talking about the SEC, all the SEC teams this week, playing weaker teams. What do you guys think of that? Yeah. Considering Oregon's schedule's been so poor.
Yeah. I'll counter immediately. I mean, you saw that 4-game Big Ten team stretch for Oregon. Yeah. I mean, the Big Ten isn't built like the SEC, so we can't even have that conversation. They're playing C+ teams every week, while your bottom SEC team is at least a B-. Arkansas, who has 2 freaking wins, will give anyone a hell of a dogfight, as they did in Texas in the first half. But Texas defense was able to wake up in the second half and just control that prolific Arkansas offense. But that's the bottom team in the SEC right now. I mean, this isn't even comparable. They're like a B- team on a tier list. The majority of the Big Ten sits in that C+ to C- range. The fact that some of these coaches try to help out these other programs with bye games late in the season. They know each other. These programs know each other through either ADs or coaches. Literally when we went and played Alabama when I was at Austin Peay, We got like $1.8 million. It built our new locker room. Like, these games are good for these FCS teams. It's good for them to happen. That's why I hate to see the SEC go to that 9-game schedule, which essentially gets rid of this game. It helps so many programs in a world right now where there's so much discrepancy between programs like, Oregon and, Alabama and, per se, if they had a football team, Chattanooga State, which they don't, but like Mercer or Sanford. Like, these programs need that money to compensate for any sort of talent discrepancy like that these big programs bring in with rev share, NIL, etc. I think it's complete horse crap that Dan Lanning would say something like that, because all these big time coaches think about is like what the top of the top is doing. I mean, college football encompasses over, across all levels, 500 plus programs. So I think we need to, take that into consideration when we say something stupid like, well, they're playing Chattanooga State. Yeah, but they're also given enough money to, like, renovate their locker room, etc. So much is deeper than this. This is one of my biggest pet peeves I see on Twitter. Sorry about my rant, Luke. Any input on it?
Also, I don't know why it's a huge deal, because, like, even if you take the FCS opponents, that the Big Ten, they just do it in the first 3 weeks. You still play the same amount of FCS teams. It's just moving the one before rivalry week as a tune-up. I have no issue with it as a Michigan fan. Like, I'm not biased to the Big Ten or nothing, but he looks like an idiot. I mean, there's no reason why you can't play a tune-up game, especially before your rival. I mean, I would love for Michigan to play Mercer before they play their rival. I mean, it'd be a nice little tune-up game before going into Ohio State, but I don't know. He just seemed like an idiot. I think it's stupid. You still play the same FCS teams at the end of the day, and the Big Ten also plays probably more. Oregon, I think, played 2 this year.
Well, I'm going to read y'all Oregon's schedule. They started off with Montana State, and then they had Oklahoma State, who's been atrocious.
There we go. Well, which, by the way, though,
they are.
Montana State is
that's a tough game.
FCS
then they had Northwestern,
so
Oregon State, who's been poor. Penn State, we know what they are this year. Then they lost to Indiana. Then they had Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, and then USC. I mean, there's no team there that jumps off the pages like, oh my gosh, that's a legit contender. And then if you look, bunch
of 5
easily,
Arkansas
maybe even 8-4.
Is 7-5 with their schedule.
I mean,
right?
So I think it's honestly ridiculous for these Big Ten. Like, the Big Ten this year is extremely top heavy. I mean, you could look at it. They have 3 elite teams, 2 really good teams, and the rest, they're C+ teams, like you said. So I think it's ridiculous for Dan Lanning to get into that, especially after I understand why he did it, because it was their first good win on the season, but it's just ridiculous.
I wholeheartedly agree. Moving into the worst Power 4 conference in the country, the ACC. Pitt came into Atlanta, Georgia, and we were all wrong on this one. They thrashed Georgia Tech, completely dominated this game pretty much for 4 quarters, except for, I would say, like the back half of the second quarter and the first half of the third quarter, where Georgia Tech kind of made a little bit of a run, showed a little bit of life. But other than that, Georgia Tech really had no answer for Pitt's offense, and they couldn't get anything going with Haynes King. Super disappointed from what I saw in the Yellow Jackets, which we were pretty big on at the beginning of the season. It completely shot their playoff hopes into the dark, and pretty much non-existent at this point, unless some fluke ACC 6-way tie crap happens. We'll find out next week, which is going to be such an electric week of college football. Very disappointed from Georgia Tech. Luke, what did you gather from this game?
Hayes King, man. I mean, I love the man, but, like, he got absolutely outdueled by the freshman quarterback and freaking dominated. And I was high, like you said, I was really high on Georgia Tech this year. I had them in the college football playoff preseason. I had them winning the ACC. And, man, this is a game you got to win. I mean, you're at home, too. It's just such a disappointment for a Tech team that I really thought was going to be good and was looking like they were probably going to go to the playoff this year after they beat Clemson. So it's super disappointing.
And before I pivot to Chase here, you remember when we talked about when we were picking this game last week? Did Pitt look ahead past Notre Dame to Georgia Tech? I don't think this is a crazy thing to think right now. I mean, they came out fully prepared for Georgia Tech, and we're up, 21-0 immediately? Mm-hmm. I mean, unbelievable from Pitt on the road against Georgia Tech.
Honestly,
Chase,
I hate saying this because I love Haynes King, and I love that Georgia Tech team all season, but I want to say that we probably rated them a little bit too highly, just in terms of like what they've done, their body of work. Pitt is a really good football team. Obviously, Notre Dame dominated them, but against an ACC competitor, Pitt can win week in, week out. So I was really impressed with the running back, Ja'Kyron Turner. He had a phenomenal game as well as their freshman quarterback. Pitt came to play, and Haynes King this is the first game I think I've really seen him play this season where he just was outclassed because he's been the best quarterback on the field when he's playing.
100%. Our next game, the Tennessee Vols headed into the Swamp in Gainesville, Florida, and won this one pretty handily. It was like 31-11 or something like that. I didn't really watch this because, one, why would I? But two, what happened should have happened. Tennessee came in and dominated a very beaten up, low morale Florida team. And unlike I said Brazel was going to have a big game. He did not. Tight end was leading receiver. But Aguilar, not too many mistakes. I guess Tennessee is decent. They still haven't beaten anybody. Very interested to see what happens next week against Vanderbilt. Luke, any takeaway from this?
Yeah, they did what they needed to do. Just going in the Vandy. They, again, like you said, they have not played a soul, really. Or they played people. They've not beaten a good team. So, it's kind of expected. Florida's been on the downtrend, so somehow still beat Texas, but.
Yeah, I know. Somehow still beat Texas. And I think Florida came in super amped up for that Ole Miss game last week, which kind of gave them a little bit of juice, but they didn't have the same kind of juice.
I think Florida throughout the season, they've given games to, like you said, Georgia, Ole Miss, obviously beat Texas. They've played good. This is still a talented team, but I think it's just once you take so many losses, you know how the morale gets in the locker room. And I think Tennessee, the only way they would lose is if Joey Aguilar committed a lot of turnovers, which we've seen in a lot of their losses this season. That's what he's done. And he played mistake-free football for the most part. So, Tennessee pretty much dominated this game from start to finish.
100%. Our next game was definitely the game of the night. BYU headed into the Nippy Nippert, and face off against Cincinnati Bearcats. Luke and the producer had BYU. I had Cincy, and I got hoed. Cincy could not make a field goal to save their life. They kept jinxing the kicker. He's like, he's only missed one in the last 2 years. Well, he went 0 for 3 to start the game. So there's 9 points right there. Turned it over on downs in the red zone. Cincinnati should have won this game. But, alas, they did not. 26-14 in favor of BYU. I am so impressed with Cincinnati. They were in the position to win this football game. Brendan Swarsby is a good quarterback over there in Cincinnati, Ohio. However, I will say I'm impressed with BYU's just ability to find the way to win a game they had to win a game. Georgia Tech had to win their game. They could not find a way to. BYU went on the road and found a way to win a game to keep themselves in the playoff conversation. Huge shout out to the Storm and Mormons. Luke, take away from this game.
They couldn't stop the run. This did. In some of these Cincinnati games that has shown, especially, I know we're calling back to week 1, but Nebraska. All over them. And LJ Martin had 222 and 2 touchdowns. He ran all over Cincinnati. And I think that was the difference maker. They could not stop the run because Bear Bachmeier didn't really have to do anything. And when your running back runs for over 200 yards.
Except if you're K-State.
You're going to win that football game.
Yeah, they cannot seem to
absolutely brutal.
Chase.
But yeah, no, I agree with y'all. I think it showed probably that BYU it was just, to go into that environment, a blackout, and to come out with a win is absolutely massive. I'm still not super convinced that this BYU team is a contender, and I think they'll be a first round exit in the playoff, and I don't necessarily want them in the playoff. If we're picking the best 12 teams, I don't think BYU gets in the playoff, but you look at their resume, they are 10-1 now. Their only loss is to the number 5 team in the country, so you got to give them credit. But this was a game that Cincinnati should have won and just left so many points out there on the board. I think I counted probably 16 points that if things had gone their way, they would have gotten, and they would have handily won that game in that case. So definitely, if I'm huge momentum flips, and if I'm the Bearcats, I'm sick to my stomach because they played well enough, and just the 3 missed field goals, and it wasn't like they were far. One kick was a 48-yarder, but he had 2 kicks inside of 40. So those are, with today's kickers and their standards, those are give-me's. So just definitely disappointing if I'm Cincinnati, and BYU lives to fight another day and got to beat UCF, but they should be in that playoff conversation for sure.
100%. Our final game was huge in terms of Conference USA title contention. Missouri State, brand new to the FBS, headed into Kennesaw, Georgia, or just outside of Atlanta, played Kennesaw State. Me and Luke had Kennesaw State. The producer had Missouri State, and me and Luke were correct. However, the way this game ended is definitely worth talking about. It was 34-34, okay? Missouri State faked a field goal, did not get it, like a deep field goal, and Kennesaw State ended up scoring with like 40 seconds left in the game. Or 27, excuse me, I'm looking at it now. 27 seconds left in the game. So Missouri State threw away their conference title chances on a fake field goal, and Kennesaw State capitalized and won this football game. Has really made the Conference USA picture super interesting, especially after Jacksonville State lost to FIU. It is pretty much, if Kennesaw State can win, they're in, because they will get, yes, I believe it's if WKU beats Jacksonville State and Kennesaw State wins, they're in. Anyway, we were right. Didn't watch much of the game other than I saw that last clip. Anybody have any input from Kennesaw State?
I was going to say the same
and
thing.
Missouri
He
State?
balled out.
Mariota. I mean, what a game. He had 387 and 5 touchdowns.
He also had one on the ground, too.
I mean, that's absurd.
6 touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, he literally was Kennesaw State.
He was Kennesaw State, yes. He did encompass, I'm pretty sure, every single touchdown they had, which is insane. Shout out to Mariota, absolute dog, which unfortunately, as we look at our leaderboard, Michael has a 1-game advantage on the lead. But what matters is last place, and currently I sit there. 2 games out of second. It is 2 weeks left at Pick'ems. We have the conference championships and then every single bowl. It is wide
Every single bowl.
open.
Holy
It is
crap.
wide open. Anything can freaking happen. We're about to find out.
Bowl season's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
Is somebody so-and-so going to play? Is so-and-so going to play? Like, that's going to be so
A
interesting.
bowl pick'em has never mattered more in your life than right now.
Oh, God.
Dogs of the week. Unfortunately, we did not have Mariota on there. However, I'm going to start with Jeremiah Love, running back, Notre Dame, in their 70-7 win over Syracuse. 8 carries, 171 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He made Syracuse look like a JV high school football team. Unbelievable for Jeremiah Love. He should be in the Heisman conversation. The fact that he's not, a little Notre Dame bias. Luke, who's your dog of the week?
So the stat line, not going to jump out at you that much, but I got Bryson Kuzidzal. I'm butchering that last name, but he had 20 carries, 100 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Michigan against Maryland. The only reason I have him on here is because he is a walk-on. We have 2 running backs hurt, and I think a walk-on having that greater game is freaking awesome. So that's why
Yeah.
he is my dog of the week.
5 yards a carry,
Yeah.
3 touchdowns against a Big Ten team as a walk-on. Hell yeah, you're a dog of the week. Luke, Chase.
I got Bryce
have a
Buttersher.
defensive guy first.
This guy, I don't know if you guys know his story, but he is also a phenomenal baseball player for the Ducks. Actually got drafted by the Houston Astros. And he's
Yes.
on NFL draft big boards right now. So we've got a 2-way guy that can legit do it in 2 leagues. He balled out yesterday, had 13 tackles, which against USC, I mean, that's a phenomenal performance. And he also got a touchdown on a trick play there on the offensive end. So got to give a shout out to a defensive guy. I mean, I know you guys probably have talked a lot about Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech, but this guy's in that same category for elite linebackers. So
yeah, we
he's
have.
been balling out for Oregon.
Exciting whites. All right. Week 14, Swiss Army Sports top 25. It stays consistent in the top 7 this week. Ohio State stays 1, Indiana stays 2, A&M 3, Georgia 4, Texas Tech 5, Oregon 6, Ole Miss 7. Now we have some movement. Notre Dame moves up to 8 from 10. Oklahoma moves back from 8 to 9. Bama moves back from 9 to 10. BYU up from 12 to 11. Vandy down from 11 to 12. Miami stays at 13. Utah up to 14. The Big Blue. Michigan up from 16 to 15. Yeah, I know you do. Virginia 16. Biggest jump of the week, and I believe this may be a voter contingency here on why this is the biggest jump of the week. We have a new voter, one from Texas. Wonder why. 17 is Texas, 18 Tennessee, 19 Tulane is our highest ranked G5 team. USC falls to 20, JMU 21, North Texas 22, Georgia Tech falls all the way down to 23, Pitt 24, SMU new to the poll at 25, and still receiving votes for Navy. They can't get in quite yet, but they have 8 points, which is the most we've ever had from a receiving votes team that did not get in. They missed out by 1.
That's
Luke,
what I'm
you want to
saying.
say something here?
How is Pitt behind Georgia Tech?
That's how it shook out.
What math is going on?
Look, we hate recency bias on this podcast.
So your
Body of work.
hold on. You're telling me
Look up Pitt's schedule.
It's head-to-head.
I
They
don't
smoked
need to, but
them.
You're the head-to-head. I mean, they beat Georgia
It
Tech.
was an average. It was an average, and I
And
may
where'd
have
you
had
have
Georgia
Pitt,
Tech
Will?
ranked, like,
Tell 'em where you had
16,
Pitt.
Okay, I mean it's an average. It's an
Exactly my point.
average. Like 20.
What? You had them at 16? They lost by like 20 at Pitt.
Yeah, whatever. I don't.
Well,
know if
I'll
Texas
explain
is
that pick
15
there
like
too.
someone did.
I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoff, but if you look at what they've done throughout the season, yes, they've had lows, but they've also beaten a really good Oklahoma team and a really good Vanderbilt team, and they lost to Ohio State by 7. So that's
Yeah, I get it. Should have lost the state. Should have
But I
lost
mean,
the state.
And real talk though, if you look at all these teams behind them, I really
and I think they could. I think they're better than
I don't
Virginia
either.
and Utah,
So,
not
like,
Michigan, but they
I'm
can
not
slide in
complaining
there
too
easily
much,
at
but-
15. And they could probably beat
I
Michigan
put them over
too.
Michigan.
I think like if we're looking at raw team wise, they are probably.
Yeah,
I would say
100%.
they're
They're both
tail
having about
Michigan.
the same season.
I just have no faith.
I mean, you're a Michigan homer that is not homing at all. Has
Yes.
no faith in Michigan to do anything.
Oh, but we're gonna win this week.
I did.
So-
We'll get on that.
As soon as I get that boost on DraftKings for Michigan Ohio State game, Michigan money line.
The 4th college football playoff bracket will be released this Tuesday. Here's how I see the committee having it. 1 seed obviously is going to be Ohio State. 2 seed Indiana. 3 seed A&M, and 4 seed Georgia to round out our buys. Georgia getting the winner of 5 seed Texas Tech, and our G5 team will be Tulane at 12. A&M will get the winner of I think with their win over USC, Oregon bumps to 6. And they will play 11 Miami, which then in turn bumps Ole Miss to 7 and Bama to 10, which Bama was at 10 anyway. And then Notre Dame at 8, Oklahoma at 9. I know we said Notre Dame probably didn't deserve to get in. And after a 77 win, I don't care who it's against. It's an FBS team. I'm not saying anything about it anymore. My first 2 out will be BYU and Vanderbilt. So, Luke, how do you have it?
I think we all kind of have it the same, outside of maybe I think I have Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss over Oregon. But also, I don't understand why the committee can't like go in and be like, all right, the 11th seed. I think the ACC champion will be, and just do that instead of doing the highest rated team.
No, that's the only reason I have Miami there.
I mean, like I know because it makes it a little interesting when you're having to try and pick the ACC champion. Because I think SMU will probably end up being there in the long run. But that does beg the question: 7-3 SMU or 11-1
James Madison, 10 times out of 10.
So I mean, it's going to be interesting if you get like a 7-3 SMU as ACC champion. Do they put in James Madison or do they keep the ACC? It's going to be very interesting. I think what was the argument last year? Who was supposed to get in? Like it was.
Well, we never had the argument though because Tulane lost to Memphis.
Oh yeah, okay, they did.
Chase, your debut on the college football playoff bracket.
I'm pretty much
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
as you, and I think this is how the
Totally agree
committee's
with
going to
you.
have it. I agree with y'all about the ACC. I'm a little nervous for the fact, like, if we see, like, maybe Vandy or BYU lose that, and, like you said, James Madison ends up winning the Sun Belt, that they do keep the ACC champ out, but still find a way to sneak Miami in just to appease the ACC. I'm not the biggest fan of the five conference champion auto bids getting in. I think it should be the 12 best teams in the country because we're going to see some really poor first round games with how they have it set up. But I know y'all are gonna disagree because I know we want to see Group of 5 representation, but just this season, outside of maybe James Madison, I don't think that there's gonna. I mean, James Madison, I don't really think they can compete with the top dogs right now after what we saw against Washington State. So, I would just rather see a team like, obviously like Vandy get in and get an opportunity, and they're on the bubble right now. So I'd love to see like a Vandy get in. Obviously, I'd want to see either a Texas or a Michigan get in, just a blue blood to bring more hype into that initial first round game, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, of course I want Vandy in. I am a big Vandy proponent, but I want to raise you this, okay? Hold on. James Madison beat Washington State by 4. I want you to answer this question, Chase. I want you to answer this question.
Yes.
Is Ole Miss a playoff team right now?
3, I believe.
Okay. How much did Ole Miss beat Washington State by?
4, but that was also earlier in the season.
How much did James Madison beat them by again? So this is a conversation we can't even have right now. It's not even valid. It just got invalidated by that right there. Here's the thing.
Anyone can win.
What do we love so much about March Madness?
You got to win your conference.
You got to win your conference. What's the, and excuse my language, podcast, what's the fucking point of having conferences if we're not trying to win the conference to get in? Premise of the whole thing. I mean, the blue blood elitists, yes, want the 12 best teams. Fuck that. We need auto bids. We need something to shake it up. There is nothing telling me that right now, if Oregon were to be the 5 seed, that Tulane cannot go into Oregon and win that football game. Could they beat Texas Tech? I don't think so. Could they beat Oregon? Could they beat Ole Miss? I think if they get another shot at Ole Miss, they could win that football game. I think it's a completely different Tulane team right now than when they played Ole Miss originally early in the year. I think James Madison is good enough to beat Oregon, Ole Miss, hell, Oklahoma. I mean, I think.
Well, let me explain something on that.
Take. I think it's an atrocious take. But
because you've had a team like Vandy
I understand where
you're had a phenomenal year, and there's a good chance they get held out of the playoffs unless some crazy shakeup happens. I think Vandy could beat a lot of teams on this list here. I think Vandy could even beat some of the top teams. I think Vandy could go take it to Indiana,
100%.
Or take it to Texas A&M. Some teams that I don't know if a Tulane or a James Madison could easily stack up against. Same thing could be said about a BYU, about a Michigan, about a Texas, that they could give a better game to some of these top teams just because they have bigger bodies, higher rated players. And I'm talking about in terms of just the playoff enjoyment in general. I would love to see, you got to reward teams for their body of work, but you also have to reward some of these bigger teams for scheduling tough games. Like, can we honestly take it against, I'm going to use Texas, and you're going to say just because I'm a fan, but I'm just going to use them as an example. We've got a team like Texas who plays Ohio State early in the season. Can we count that against them? Because that's a tough game that they probably weren't going to win, even with a good roster going into the shoe. Can we count that against them and say, as a, I guess.
Yes, because
I
the
guess,
game
but
your AD
you can't look at the schedule of a lot of other teams, but
yeah. Luke obviously wants to say something here.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but this was the whole preface last year. Oh, Arizona State's going to get, or Clemson's going to get blown out by Texas. Clemson and Clay Klubnik
that was a phenomenal
hell of a game at Texas and almost won that football game. And the same argument was about Arizona State. Arizona State, they're going to get blown out by Texas. Arizona State almost won that football game. And Boise State, we saw the group of 5. Now, granted, they had Jenny.
No, they got the bye
last year, or right? No, they
lost Penn State. Barely.
I mean, you have some of these teams, the conference matters. You've got to win your conference. I mean, that's why a bunch of people have a gripe with Notre Dame, because they don't have a conference, and they basically just schedule the ACC, and they schedule Syracuse and some of the ass end of it. Now, granted, they have their 2 hard games with A&M and Miami, but that's why some people have the gripe with it, because they don't have to play a full daunting schedule. They have to play Navy. I mean, they played USC, USC, A&M, and Miami, and then that next game is Navy. That is a huge drop-off from opponent. So
100%.
You've got to win your conference. That's the whole why people have a gripe with Notre Dame, but I like conferences being in.
So I want to ask both of y'all this question. So we all like Vandy on this pod. We would like to see Vandy in the playoff. And I'm going to go down by seed list. Ole Miss lose to the Egg Bowl to Mississippi State. Very realistic. Could happen.
Yes.
Are they out? Is Vandy in?
Yes.
Just simple yes or no.
I think so. Yes,
I agree.
I think if you look at the record or like who they played, Vandy's played the more competent.
Again, this all is based off what I think will happen to Vandy beating Tennessee.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree. I think if Ole Miss loses the Egg Bowl, they're playoff. Because let's be honest, because the ACC is so crap this year, it's really the top 10 teams ranked wise getting into the playoff. So if you drop out of the top 10, you're in jeopardy. And if you lose to State, you should drop out of the top 10 hypothetically. So, and I think the same thing goes for Oklahoma. If they were to slip up, I think the same thing goes for, yeah. And I think the same thing goes for Bama when they head into Jordan Hare at night for the Iron Bowl. Now, here's the second question I have for y'all. Vandy beats Tennessee. BYU takes care of business against whoever they're supposed to week and loses the Big 12 title game. Is it Vandy or BYU that gets in over these teams that lose the rivalry game?
I don't know. I think it's going to be tough because they did reward last year. They rewarded getting to the conference championship. That's why we saw SMU get in as an at-large. And I think it depends on how much BYU loses by. If it's 3-point game, they put in BYU just based off what they did last year. If they get blown out again,
I think it's Vandy either way too. BYU's schedule has not been as tough as Vandy. Vandy's won in some tough environments, and Vandy's 2 losses. I mean, can we sit in terms of 2-loss teams? They have about the best 2 losses that you can have outside of maybe Alabama and Notre Dame. I mean, their 2 losses are Texas and Alabama. So I think Vandy definitely deserves to be in, and especially with a win over a Tennessee team, we saw what they just did to Florida. So that going in to Neyland Stadium, that's a ranked win at Tennessee. So
it's gonna be a ranked win.
I would love to see Vandy get in. Now Vandy loses it, negates the conversation. And I mean, I have a question for y'all too. Do you see maybe Michigan or Texas or a team like that potentially pushing, say Vandy loses and BYU loses that Big 12 championship?
I don't think it's possible.
I do.
Yeah, I don't know. No. I'll preface this.
Okay.
I don't think it's possible for Texas right now.
Yes.
I think there's
exactly.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. They both win out. Say Michigan win, they both win their rivalry.
So let's I know. So let's go on that. I don't think there's enough because you got to think about and this is all going to base on what the rankings say on Tuesday. But let's say they're sitting we have them at the 17th spot. Can they gain 7 spots off an A&M win? I don't think so. I think they'll be I think they'll be that second team out. Michigan, on the other hand, if they beat Ohio State, will also be in the conference title game.
But no, they will be in the conference title game if Oregon loses to Washington. They have to have Washington.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
So at least that's what I have been told from Twitter.
I think if Michigan beats Ohio State, yes, they could. I don't care if they get in or not. I think it could be a yes. They could get in the playoff, whether I like it or not. Now, again, one of these teams would have to lose, but they would jump Vandy if either of these upsets happen. Yes. So my answer is yes for Michigan, no for Texas. I think there's too much ground.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat with Will, just because Michigan can still get to the conference championship. Now, Michigan can't lose in the conference championship game. I think that negates it because I think if you have 3 losses at any point, you're not making it. Now, Texas has 3 losses. That's the only reason I think.
So here's where I kind of stand on this. I think Michigan definitely, if they beat Ohio State, that's the #1 team in the country. There's not a better win. Nobody's beaten Ohio State. Nobody's really pressured Ohio State. Texas gave them sort of a game in week 1. And since then, Ohio State's pretty much dominated everybody. So that would be the best win in college football. And then if you look at Michigan's 2 losses, I mean, they're really not that bad considering how well Oklahoma's done this year. So, you know what? I think Michigan for sure, if they beat Ohio State, they're definitely in the conversation to jump potentially in Alabama or jump, say Oregon loses to Washington or something like that. Oklahoma, I could definitely say that. Now, on Texas Texas has to have a lot go right for them. They have to have the perfect amount of results happen. I think that they need BYU, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Alabama all to lose ahead of them for them to even be in the realm. I think the SEC probably will get 4 to 5 playoff spots, and I think with Alabama as a 3-loss, Oklahoma as a 3-loss. I think Texas would probably be ahead of Alabama and Oklahoma since Texas did beat Oklahoma and Alabama's looked kind of poor over the last couple weeks. And Texas would have that win over number 3 Texas A&M, who has not lost this season. But we'll just have to see. But Texas has to have the perfect storm, and Michigan has to have a convincing win over Ohio State.
Which is crazy to even think about. Like, if Oregon were to lose, then it's a whole different conversation. But we gotta move. We gotta move on. This has been great discourse.
Or happening this weekend.
Let's talk about these conference championship game races. The American, it's pretty much down. It is. It is down to 3 teams. It is down to Navy, Tulane, and North Texas. If Navy beats Memphis, I'm pretty sure they're in. No, Tulane beat Navy. So Tulane's winning and get in. Navy is win with a Tulane or North Texas loss. North Texas also controls their own destiny. I still am the same. I think it ends up being North Texas, Tulane. I don't know about y'all too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's chalk. I mean, because who knows? The Navy Memphis game, who knows what's going to happen? Because I don't know, is Horvath still hurt?
I don't know, but I just don't think Memphis has anything left to get.
No, I don't either. But I mean, they played spoiler last year, so
true. Really, the craziest scenario we have is sitting right in front of our eyes here. The ACC could end up as a 6-way tie. I do think Virginia could lose to Virginia Tech. So my prediction is actually going to be, I think it's going to be Pitt and SMU in the conference title game, which should be electric because neither of those teams really belong in the playoff, and we might see one get in.
Completely agree with that take as well.
Either of y'all care to comment on that?
I'm gonna go with SMU and Virginia.
I do too.
Miami.
I agree.
But I think Pitt's better than Miami. You really want me to say that?
But I think Miami's going to end up winning that game, and I think it's going to be Virginia, SMU.
I think the committee would have an aneurysm if Pitt wins that game, and I would love to see it.
Oh, it would be awesome. I'm not going to lie.
The Big 12, yeah, it's opened. I think it is Texas Tech BYU at this point after they beat Cincinnati.
Unless UCF can pull something off crazy, but they're so bad. I really can't see it happening. The only thing, I mean, I'm still not uber impressed with BYU, so I could see a choke job happening, but I don't see it. I really don't see it.
Yeah, UCF is so bad. It's such a disappointment this year. The Big Ten, as we kind of prefaced this already, Indiana is probably going to beat Purdue. We can go ahead and say that. So, which no matter what, they're in. Ohio State plays Michigan. Michigan would have to beat Ohio State, and Oregon would have to lose to UW to get in. And USC is just kind of there. Yeah. So, yeah, it's chalk here. I think it's Indiana, Ohio State. I think Ohio State wins the game. Luke, I know you disagree, so I'm going to go ahead and let you tell me.
I think that Michigan is going to go in there. It's at home. I think we're going to end up beating Ohio State this year. And I don't think Washington's going to beat Oregon, so I'm going to go Oregon-Indiana rematch.
I think that
Chase.
Actually, I do think Washington, out of all the team Oregon's played, I think Washington has a chance to upset Oregon. And then Michigan's ran the game versus Ohio State over the last couple of years, although I do think this Ohio State team's elite, so I think it's chalk. I'm going to go Ohio State, Indiana, but I do think Oregon is going to lose to Washington.
I like that.
I want to say one thing about this Ohio State team. They were way more elite last year, and they lost to a way far.
I do think their defense is better this year than it was last year.
I don't think so.
I
agree. I think this Matt Patricia defense is incredible. The schemes that he has for a college team, I do not think these offensive coordinators have ever seen anything like it before, and I think that's what's throwing people off so much.
But we won with freaking Davis Warren last year, who had leukemia. I'm just saying anything could happen, and I think Michigan and Rushmore have owned this rivalry for the last 5 years, and I think they're going to win.
Okay. Husa.
Get off the home.
Husa's interesting here. Kennesaw State plays, I don't know who, but they've just got to win, and they're in. They've got the tiebreaker over Western Kentucky for whatever reason, which makes Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State is effectively a play-in game at this point. Give me Kennesaw State and Western. I think Western looked really good against LSU last week. I think they're absolutely poised and ready for this game. So give me Kennesaw and Western. Luke, what do you think?
Yes, I'm sticking with my preseason pick and preseason champion as Western Kentucky, and they're going to play Kennesaw.
Y'all brought me on to give y'all some different opinions, but I completely agree with y'all on this. I think Western Kentucky has looked phenomenal as far as its CUSA team is going. The Hilltoppers have looked great, and then Kennesaw got a big win last week. But I still think Western Kentucky's the best team in Conference USA and should win that championship. But I think it's going to be Kennesaw State and Western Kentucky in that Conference USA championship.
Then we get the MAC. Western Michigan plays Eastern Michigan in a rivalry game. 6.5-point spread on Tuesday. So we're going to know about this pretty early. I think Western Michigan gets the job done there. So that should secure the first spot. Now where it gets a little fishy is this second spot where there's a four-way tie. Ohio plays at Buffalo. If they win, the job's taken care of. Toledo plays Central Michigan. Well, they're both at 5-2. And then Miami, Ohio plays Ball State. Miami, Ohio, again, does not have their quarterback because he is prepping for the NFL or whatever. So I'm actually surprised this line's at 17.5. I'm going to go, I think Buffalo pulls off an upset against Ohio. It's at Buffalo. And I'm going to go Toledo because that was my preseason. That's playing Western Michigan in the conference title game. Luke, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to, I hate you because they're my preseason too. But so I'm going to go with Toledo and Western Michigan. I think Toledo's going to get it done. And then I'm just going to pray that Ohio slips up. It is the MAC. I mean, some weird stuff happens in the MAC.
We get these electric football games on Tuesday and Friday.
I know. So,
with the Toledo Central Michigan game at 11 a.m. on Saturday.
Electric. Great feast week. We got basketball. We got this.
It is. It's a great feast week. The Cowboys are going to beat the Chiefs.
I think Western Michigan is pretty much a lock. We can say at this point. I actually like Ohio to go in and beat Buffalo. I haven't been overly impressed with Buffalo this season. And I actually kind of like Ohio a little bit. Like y'all said, Miami, Ohio's quarterback's not even there. So I don't know why they're on the list. I think Western Michigan will beat Central Michigan. And then Toledo's just hoping that, Buffalo can pull an upset. And I kind of like Ohio to go in and win this game. But Maction's always great at this time of the year.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it'll be like 12 inches of snow and -8 degrees.
Yeah.
Mountain West is a interesting scenario. There could be a four-way tie, by the way. But I'm just going to go and say it's going to be San Diego State, Boise State. The rest are just they're all probably going to win their respective games. So I'm going San Diego State, Boise State. Luke, how do you have it?
It'll be different. San Diego State. I'll go to New Mexico.
I love New Mexico. I love this New Mexico team so much.
I think
it'll be different. That'll be my pick.
UNLV's actually got the darkest shot.
I actually think that UNLV is the best team in the Mountain West this year. Unfortunately, they have the darkest shot, and I do think all the teams are going to win their respective games. So I got San Diego State and Boise State.
Okay, so I'll actually touch on this. I do not think UNLV is the best team in the Mountain West this year.
I like New Mexico too. I think they've got three quality teams. I think San Diego State's actually been surprisingly good this year. And then Boise State has been below their level, but they're always going to compete in the Mountain West. But I really do like what UNLV's done this year.
They did handle Hawaii pretty well. And then we got the SEC. A&M plays Texas. Georgia, they're done. They're in, pretty much. They play Georgia Tech. Ole Miss plays Mississippi State. And Bama plays Auburn. It is an elite weekend of college football. It's Texas A&M and Georgia, without a doubt. Luke, what do you think?
So I do have a question. A&M loses. Who does Ole Miss jump?
So
that's like
it becomes a weird tie break because A&M has not played any of these opponents.
Yeah,
I think it could go based off strength of record, and A&M could miss completely, and it could be Georgia Ole Miss. But yeah, that could be the thing. I just hope A&M takes care of Texas so they don't get that complicated. I'm gonna go A&M Georgia. What do you think?
Do some shenanigans. Actually, I'll just go A&M Georgia. I know Chase is gonna do some shenanigans, so I'll let him do it.
So
I actually have
Texas beats A&M and
crazy
Georgia Ole Miss,
scenario
isn't it?
for real. I think Texas A&M is going to lose to Texas. It's in Austin. They haven't played anybody in the top half of the SEC this year. They beat Notre Dame on a holder error by Tyler Buckner for their best win on the season. Marcel Reed is extremely inconsistent. Do we get the Marcel Reed at the second half against South Carolina, or do we get more of the Marcel Reed from the first half? Texas defense has looked pretty good outside of the fourth quarter against Georgia over the last couple weeks, so I think I'm going to roll with the Longhorns in that one. Georgia for sure is a lock. Ole Miss, Mississippi State is going to be a very tricky game. Lane Kiffin's already out the door, it seems. I think the Dogs win too. And I think Alabama could lose this Iron Bowl. So I am going to go Georgia, Texas A&M, but I think A&M, Ole Miss, and Alabama all lose. I think they all lose.
In a very different way, but in a very different way.
I haven't been convinced what Alabama's done, and I like what Auburn's done since they fired Hugh Freeze. So I still think it is going to be A&M, Georgia. Yeah.
It did drop 62 on Mercer.
But 62.
Which I know it's Mercer.
That's what I'm saying.
But Mercer's a damn good team this year.
It'll be interesting.
The Sun Belt. It is awesome. JMU's clinched it. They're going to host. Who's going to go to JMU? The winner of the game Saturday goes to JMU. This is a pick 'em right now from y'all boys. Southern Miss, Troy. I'm a Troy graduate. Troy student athlete alum. There's no chance in hell Southern Miss is losing this football game. Our offensive line is so banged up. We can barely beat Georgia State. Give me Southern Miss.
Screw you. I'm still hoping. I didn't even go there. I'm hoping for Troy.
Let's go. I would love to see it. Obviously, I would love to see it. I'm just going to give my analytical pick.
Yeah, Troy's winning this one. Southern Miss has looked awful over the last 2 weeks. I think Southern Miss is... they start off the year really hot. They're going to lose this week to Troy. Jared Parker's going to have the boys ready to go. I think Troy gets it done and maybe gets a little healthy and pulls an upset against JMU. But we're going to have to see here. Hey, Goose Crowder went over 300 yards the last week. We do have to admit that. He played great.
He did. Our offensive line is so banged up. But the Goose is loose. Fuck it. Change my pick. Troy is going to the Sun Belt Conference Championship game against JMU. As I predicted in the preseason, it was going to be Troy JMU. So
that's also who I did.
It's time. All right, guys. It is time for our Mount Rushmore of college football rivalries. Chase?
We'll go with lucky number 7.
Between 1 and 10. All right, Chase is locked in at 7. Luke, your turn.
I'm going to go with 6. Wait, hold on. Before are you picking 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm going to go with 3.
Okay. I guess I'll go with... Oh, this puts me in a tough spot. I'll go with 8. I'll go on the high end. All right. Hey, Siri. Pick a number between 1 and 10. Are you serious? It is 7. Chase, you go first. What'd you pick?
I had 3. So I go last.
I will go second, which is awesome for a snake draft. And Luke will go last. So, Chase, with the first pick in the Mount Rushmore of college football rivalries, who are you taking? This will be put on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm going to go with the game. I'm going to go with Michigan, Ohio State. I think there's not much to say about this one. There's so much stories here. So many great players have come through this rivalry. It's a battle between two states. Every year, every Thanksgiving week, it comes down to this game at the end of the season for one of these teams to make it into the college football playoff, the BCS National Championship game. We've seen it through the years. We've had so many great coaches, Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh, great quarterbacks. And this year, I think it could be a phenomenal game. So give me the game.
You just broke Luke's heart. For my pick, I'm also not going to go with my favorite team. I think the obvious pick here is the Iron Bowl. Bama and Auburn have created so many memories for us, especially in our generation with elite ending plays. You had that 4th and 28 for Alabama to score against Auburn like 2 years ago. You had the kick 6. This game usually means a lot especially in the early 2010s, it meant a lot. This would be like a 1 versus 4 matchup more often than not. I think the Iron Bowl, both these schools hate each other with a true passion. It is truly political down there here in the South, especially with another rivalry, but especially the Iron Bowl. Give me the Iron Bowl. Luke, what is your pick?
Now, since I have the 3rd and 4th pick, I'm going to put as 3 over this other rivalry because we got to support our troops. It's Army-Navy.
Army-Navy's an elite pick.
I love watching the Army-Navy games. The triple option's always beautiful. The uniforms are peak life whenever they debut them because they wear them like once a year. I mean, this rivalry is top. It's arguably the best rivalry in the country. I mean, like theoretically, either of these teams make the college football playoff, they would play the conference championship, play each other, which they would not rest. Then they would go and play in the college football playoff just 2 weeks later. So that is going to be my number 3 pick. And then obviously the Red River rivalry.
Red River rivalry. That's good.
Oklahoma. I was going to pick them at 3. Got to shout out our troops. So I'm going to roll with them at 4. I mean, it's been the Red River shootout. There's been so many electric moments with them both scoring 50. I mean, Caleb Williams coming in as a true freshman and absolutely dominating that game. I mean, all the times this year. I mean, nobody thought, or not a whole bunch of people thought that Matier was going to come back, and then he came back, and Texas absolutely dominated. So that's why I got the Red River shootout.
Red River shootout. All right.
We know what you're picking.
Obviously. My next pick has got to be the Egg Bowl. I mean, the Egg Bowl has created so many memories over the past year. You had the piss and the miss in 2019. You had Bo Wallace overtime fumble. You have literal fistfights in and out of the stadium. The politics of this rivalry are insane in the state of Mississippi. I have seen I'm not going to mention. I have seen people hire and not hire people based on where they went to school in this rivalry. I've seen politicians get elected or not elected based on where they went to school in this rivalry. This is life or death in Mississippi. The Egg Bowl just means more. When people think of the SEC and the craziness of the SEC, the Egg Bowl embodies every bit of the spirit. It is better played on Thanksgiving than when it's not, but I'm glad that it's not because I'm able to go this year on Friday.
Well,
give me the Egg Bowl.
Y'all forgot the biggest rivalry in the biggest state in the country. I mean, obviously, everything's bigger in Texas. And like you said, for the Egg Bowl, people get hired, fired, friends break up. Like, this is the biggest rivalry in the state. So I'm going with Texas A&M versus Texas. We're about to see that this next week. We see it went away for a couple years, but the rivalry between Longhorn and Aggie fans, I know you guys haven't lived in Texas, but it is a true thing. It is literally
A&M's
fight song.
It's
about
says goodbye to
sawing varsity's horns
Texas
off.
University, yeah.
Like, it is the biggest rivalry. A&M will throw horns down at every single game that they play in the season. They are obsessed with Texas. This is the biggest rivalry in the state. I mean, there's fights at every single game. So I'm rolling with Texas A&M, Texas. And then the other game, the Nick Saban Bowl. I'm going to go with Georgia and Alabama. I think that we've seen so many great SEC games between these two teams. So many SEC championships, national championships, so many good players coming through these rivalries, especially over the last 10, 15 years. Alabama, Georgia has just been a phenomenal game to watch. So I'm going with those two.
I think you give me a layup for pick 3 here. Give me the Holy War. BYU, Utah. It's such an easy pick. We're talking about groups that hate each other. I mean, the BYU people literally call Utah satanic worshipers. It doesn't get a lot more heated by a whole bunch of white people than BYU in Utah. The Stormin' Mormons versus the good drinking Protestants of Utah. Yeah, Holy War. Lock it in. Luke, next 2 to you.
I'm going to go Florida State and Miami.
And by the way, not to mention, this game's been a banger for the last 5 years.
No, it has.
Florida State, Miami.
Well, I'm going Florida State, Miami. I mean, one of our buddies is a Florida State fan, and his dad would not take him to this game because of the thought of them getting attacked. If you watch some of the pregame stuff from this year when they played, you had fans fighting out in the parking lot, the Florida Rednecks just going absolutely insane. That's why I think this is one of the best rivalries. And then I didn't get my game, so I'm going to go with the other game, Harvard and Yale.
I love it.
I'm going to go with them. So that is going to be my last pick. I mean, They should have been game day this week, in my opinion, if you didn't go to Montana State, because that was for the Ivy right there. So
I'm going to go the game that should have been game day this week. This is a perennial FCS battle between two top 5 teams. The backyard brawl between Montana and Montana State is unreal. It is an unmatched rivalry in the FCS. I love the FCS love. Two people on this podcast came from FCS ball. Montana and Montana State hate each other. It's a very heated rivalry because there's nothing else to do in Montana.
I'm going to have to stay in the SEC with another great rivalry. Alabama LSU. This has been a historic rivalry over the years, and these groups just absolutely hate each other, and it's always a banger of a game year in, year out. I know this year, even with LSU being pretty poor, they still gave a great game to Alabama, so I'm going to go Alabama LSU.
Alabama LSU. That was on my list.
Yeah,
could have thrown that in too.
Would have been Pitt, West Virginia, backyard brawl. That was going to be my other one.
Oh, my bad. This is actually called the Brawl of the Wild.
Oh, yeah,
it's even better. Montana State's Brawl of the Wild. I knew it was Brawl of something, but yeah, Brawl of the Wild. And then you went LSU Bama. Well, that is a pretty good Mount Rushmore from the boys. Chase had the first pick. He has the game, Texas A&M, Texas, UGA Bama, and LSU Bama. I have the Iron Bowl, the Egg Bowl, the Holy War, and the Brawl of the Wild. Luke, Army, Navy, Red River Robbery, FSU Miami, and the game as in Harvard and Yale. This will be posted on social. We will see who wins as we dive into what happened today. Thursday. The Houston Texans beat the Bills, which was Davis Mills, dude. Stand up. The Bills may be
100%
on fraud watch. Do y'all agree?
I think Joe Brady's having some people calling for his job right now.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Because even though Josh Allen's on the sideline going, what the are we doing? And I mean, he's kind of got a point. It was a very questionable play calling and offensive performance from the Bills this week.
I want to say that this Texans defense is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they have some togs on that D-line. The secondary is phenomenal. Great linebackers. This is the best defense in football, without a doubt. And Davis Mills, I hate saying this because I love C.J. Stroud and what he stands for, but I think Davis Mills, over the 3 weeks he started, might have enough on the resume to say, hey, I deserve to start over C.J. Stroud over the next couple weeks, considering what C.J. Stroud's done. But Bill's definitely concerning. I love Josh Allen. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks. I think he's probably top 3, at least, if he's not the best quarterback in the league. But they got to get some help on offense. They got to figure it out because he's too good to be. And the AFC's so weak this year where there's no way that they can't challenge in it. So definitely a shocking loss for the Bills.
Packers handled the Vikings at home. J.J. McCarthy is still terrible. The Steelers gave the Bears a game today, but the Bears are 8-3 and just find a way to win football games.
Weird.
My question for y'all from this game is: are the Bears a legit conference title contender? My answer is no. Y'all two go.
Conference title?
Yeah, they're 8-3 in the NFC.
No,
are they a conference title contender?
I don't think conference title. I think they'll win the division. I don't think they'll be
no. There's 2 or 3 other teams that are way better than them. But the Bears have been probably one of the biggest surprises of the season.
Oh, 100%. Pats survive on the road against Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, though, close to getting healthy. The Detroit Lions win a thriller and a very Jameis Winston-esque game from the Giants. They win a thrill in overtime. My question from this game, are the Lions in trouble of missing the playoffs? They have a tough road to end the season. I know they play the Cowboys. The Vikings, again, have a good enough defense to win games. They have to play the Packers again. Are the Vikings officially on fraud watch? Or the Lions on fraud watch?
100%. I love Dan Campbell, but I'm nervous about this Lions team. They have not been as dominant as they were last year, and just some shocking results. Anytime that you go into overtime with a Jameis Winston-led team, especially when it's the Giants, considering who they're missing on offense, it's shocking, especially with everything that's gone down in New York. So I would definitely be concerned if I'm the Lions.
100%. Seahawks took care of the business against Nashville in a close one against the Titans. Titans been playing teams closer.
Yeah. Cam Ward looked really good today.
Yeah, he did.
Nice little stat line.
The Chiefs beat the Colts. Ooh, good game in Kansas City. Must-win game, in my opinion, for the Chiefs.
They won.
Yeah, me neither. Overtime field goal win. Good for KC. Ravens, uninspiring performance against the Jets. Getting cover. That's what's notable. The Browns, Shadur, still threw a pick. I think the Raiders just may be the absolute worst team in the league.
I mean, that Browns defense today had 10 sacks. I mean, that is an absurd amount of sacks. Now, Shadur was whatever. I mean, his stat line was really helped when he threw the swing pass to Sampson, and Sampson decided to take it like 70 yards of the house. So his stat line was helped. He did what he needed to do today, though. But Junkins is hurt for the Browns.
Ooh.
That I don't know how much
It helped their tanking efforts.
Yeah, I don't know how much how
So
bad it was or nothing like that. But
and they get themselves a new quarterback. Jags took care of the Cardinals. I thought the Cardinals were going to get this one, and the Jags ended up taking care of business. Big win for Jacksonville. The Falcons beat the Saints. We saw that coming. And then I think the game we all need to dissect a little bit. Dissect it. A certain team in Pennsylvania thought they were just going to waltz in and take care of business against America's team. They scored
21-7 at halftime, but
21-0 at halftime. All of a sudden, the Dallas Cowboys woke up. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb dropped a touchdown. Doesn't matter. George Pickens, Javonte Williams. How about them Cowboys? 3-4 turnovers. It got me feeling really nicey over in Dallas. The Cowboys are right back in the playoff conversation. 5-5-1. Your takes away, Luke, then Chase.
This was a statement win for this team. They needed this to get back in the playoff picture because they have a tough schedule from here on out. Let's see. I'll pull it up right now.
I know we've got the Chiefs, then the Lions, Vikings.
Chiefs, Lions, Chargers, Vikings, Commanders, Giants. So
winnable games, all of them.
We kind of have to win out just with how loaded the NFC is, but that was a great start to go on the journey to the playoffs.
I think we can lose one. I think if you're 10
I think we can afford to lose
with
one.
our case, it's going to be 10-6-1. But if you get 10 wins, you should be in the playoffs. So I think the boys can afford to lose one. But honestly, going down 21 points, I'm like, oh shit. Pardon my language, but I'm just in my head. I'm like we get so high after that massive domination against the Raiders. You got Quentin Williams coming in. You got Overshown coming back. Ravel's looked great, and you're thinking, man, this Cowboys team is going to go on a little run here. Like we're ready to go. We got Zach Martin coming out on the podcast this week talking about how, when they traded for Amari Cooper, they were I think they were 3-5 or 4-6 at the time, and then they ended up winning out with Amari Cooper or only losing one game the rest of the stretch. So I'm in my head as a Cowboys fan, I'm like, oh man, we're about to go on a run. And Philadelphia just comes out. AJ Brown looked great with all that discourse with him and Jalen Hurts going on up there in Philly. Looked great. I'm like, oh man, we're about to get blown out. And then the boys turned it on. Dak again. I mean, he's playing about the best Dak Prescott football of his career. Devontae Williams has looked great. George Pickens, dare I say, he's the wide receiver one in that room right now. CeeDee Lamb has not had the best season, but George Pickens is playing.
He is right now, without a doubt.
I am so impressed in the resilience of this team. And shout out Brian Schottenheimer going into the locker room and getting these guys right. And that's the best. That the second half for the Cowboys. That's the best half of defense this Dallas team has played all season. That second half, I was blown away, especially from the D line. Quentin Williams, Odigizua. I mean, they looked really, really good there. Even Kenny Clark too. I mean, you know what? I've been critical of Jerry Jones, but he's put together a pretty good roster.
Great. Yeah, and the only thing I have to say that I gripe with, what was Schottenheimer doing calling that timeout?
You knew Philly was going to take timeouts.
I mean, I don't think you need to call that timeout. Make them use their timeout.
It would have burned like 20 seconds. Looking back at it now, agree with the timeout.
Okay. I didn't agree with it. I think you should have just, because then they just ended up having a spiked knee, mark the ball, like all that crap.
It worked out for us.
I know it did, but that was the only thing I was like, oh, is Mike McCarthy back?
NFL teams of the week and teams that are weak. My team of the week is the Chiefs. I mean, you went in a pretty much must-win situation for Kansas City and beat what I think is the best team in the AFC in the Indianapolis Colts. I think that's a huge win for Kansas City. They are my team of the week. And my night of your week, you lost to Davis Mills, backup quarterback for the Texans, beat up offensive line, not a great defense. Atrocious showing for Buffalo. Cannot lose that football game. You're my team that is weak. Luke, team of the week, and that's weak.
Team of the week is the Bears. I mean, you're 8-3. It's been a while since you've been 8-3, so you and my team of the week got a good statement win over the Steelers. And then the team that is weak will be the Raiders. 10 sacks. That is an ungodly amount. My Browns defense had like 25, so that is why.
Well, I had to go with the Cowboys this week. I mean, that is the best comeback win in recent memory for the Cowboys. They looked great. And then my team that is weak was honestly the Colts. I thought that they left a lot on the table against the Chiefs. They left a lot on the table. They should have won that football game. Should have gone for it on 4th and 4. I really thought the Colts should have won that game. And like you said, well, this is a great Colts team, but they could have put the Chiefs away and really put the Chiefs in some turmoil with how good the Texans have played in that AFC playoff picture. But shout out the Cowboys, man.
100%. Man, shout out the boys.
I
Monday Night Football. We got the Carolina Panthers heading in to Gaytown, San Francisco, and playing the 49ers. Best bets.
I love that.
Live bet. I swear. Live bet whoever wins the coin toss. Carolina 6-0 when winning the coin toss, 0-5 when losing. So put the house on whoever wins the coin toss. And then CMC 2 touchdowns, plus 135, kind of like Jonathan Taylor. Lock it in. Love it. Luke, what are your plays?
I'm going Teteroa McMillan, anytime touchdown, plus 145. I probably have been playing pretty solid. And part of that is because I got the Panthers money line. I already jumped on the Panthers money line today once I hit my bonus bet. So I got them at plus 310. I think they're going to win the coin toss, and I think they're going to go and march in and beat the Niners. The Niners have not played the very quality of opponents. I think the Panthers are kind of rolling.
I got this. I don't know if the Panthers necessarily win this game, but I do think they cover. They're going to keep it a lot closer than 7.5 points. That's just too big of a spread there. So I got the Panthers covering. And then Rico Dowdle, over 18.5 rushing attempts. He's gone over that the last couple weeks. They're going to continue force-feeding him the ball. I think the 49ers secondary is going to give Bryce Young a little bit of trouble. So I think Rico Dowdle is going to have another massive game like he has over the past couple weeks.
Love it. College basketball picks this week. The producer had a hell of a week. Went 7-0. He is 19-2 on the year, which is incredible. Like I said, Chase will join this next week, and it'll be a win percentage thing. Don't know if anyone's going to catch Michael. We were all Purdue. It was a lot closer than we all thought it was going to be. But Purdue was able to get the job done against Memphis.
Basically just out-hooded them.
Yes, they did. For a long time.
It was close.
BYU took care of business against Wisconsin. We were all BYU. Yep. Louisville, a little bit of closer game than I anticipated against Cincinnati. I did think it was actually a close game, but I didn't think it would be this close. But Louisville's they take care of business. Mississippi State is not good, and I regret picking them. PJ Haggerty went off for Kansas State like you said they wouldn't. And when every time I watched Kansas State score, I kept having in my mind Luke going, PJ Haggerty, PJ Haggerty, PJ Haggerty. I was like, oh my God, I want to kill myself. Mississippi State is terrible.
They should have won the tournament because they had a bullcrap foul at the end of the thing off of a missed three from what was it? It was whatever. Nebraska.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Nebraska hoops electric. We thought we were gonna get one here. We thought Hawaii was sitting pretty at home against Arizona State. Arizona State not bad at hoops this year. Because Hawaii is not a bad mid-major team this year. Of course, Michael got that one right. Me and the producer were correct on Clemson. Again, I think Clemson is just kind of a revamped Clemson team. Not exactly like the 5-seed, 4-seed Clemson team we've seen in the past year. So I think it's a solid 8-9 seed Clemson team that should be able to get in the tournament. Huge win against West Virginia, who started out the
West Virginia almost had it. West Virginia should have had it. They blew it down the stretch as well.
And then, man, I almost stole one from y'all here.
I know.
Xavier, I thought they were in a good spot. They almost came back and won this basketball game, lost by 2 against Georgia. The producer and Luke were on Georgia, and that wraps up our college.
They've been playing a lot well.
They've been playing a lot better. They had to gel. It's a brand new team, brand new coach, brand new roster. They had to gel. 19-2 for the producer Michael, 14-7 for Luke, and 13-8 for me. So, including Chase, we have our new Swiss Army Sports Top 25 college basketball this week. Number 1 team receiving 2 votes for number 1 are the U of H Cougars, number 1 team in the country. Number 2 receiving 1 vote for first place, Purdue. 3, Zona, who is a damn good basketball team. 4, Gonzaga. 5, Louisville. And I think our top 5, like any of these top 5 could win. Well, I'll go 6, UConn, 7, Duke. Any of these top 7 can win the national championship as we sit right now. I think y'all would both agree with that.
I completely agree.
8, BYU, and I think that's where you draw the line. 9, Illinois has exciting aspects to it, as well as does 10, Bama. 11, Iowa State has looked strong early, just not exactly the resume yet. 12, Florida. 13, Michigan. Faltered a little bit.
They're winning games.
They are winning games. That's what matters. You know who's also winning games is Michigan State. 15, St. John's. 16, North Carolina. 17, Tennessee. 18, Vandy. Vandy has looked electric so far. They are blowing teams out. This is a team that is consistently now favored by like 28.5 or more. This is Vandy sports are so back. They have never been this. I can't even say they're back. I don't even think they've been at this level before. NC State 19, Kentucky 20, UCLA 21, 22, Indiana. Shout out Tate and Conway. 23, Baylor. 24, Arkansas. 25, War Damn Eagle. Auburn. And receiving 6 points, Texas Tech. 5, Wisconsin, and 1, Iowa.
Really, I mean,
Chase,
I'm glad we got Houston at number 1. And I really think those top 3 teams can be interchangeable. Arizona's got the toughest. They've got the best resume right now. Purdue, I know we haven't been super impressed with what Braden Smith done, but this is still a Purdue team that, in spite of his shooting troubles, has managed to win all of their games against quality opponents. But I just love the freshman for Houston. I love Kingston Flemings. He is a baller. This guy is rising into a lottery pick, and I knew before the season he was going to be one of those quiet ones. But shout out this freshman class. I mean, we're seeing one of the best freshman classes we've ever seen, with Flemings and then Coapete at Arizona, DeBansa at BYU, Cam Bouger at Duke. I mean, it is an absolutely loaded class this year. But then the only other things that kind of stand out to me, I think Florida's a team that'll probably jump back up for us. Florida's looked a lot better after their opening loss. And then outside that, I'm glad to see the Bears enter the top 25. Baylor's looked really good. And then War Damn Eagle. I think Auburn's a little too lowly ranked here. I think Auburn's going to be, everybody was kind of down on them after Bruce Pearl retired going into the season, but I like this Auburn team. They gave Houston a game, and they've looked good out. I mean, they've looked really good, so. Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I was so low on them was because of the Bethune Cookman game, to be honest with
that was
you.
game 1, though.
Can't go to overtime with an HBCU.
Yeah, 100%. It was.
You can't go to overtime.
Soccer for the first time on Swiss Army Sports. We have our who's in as of now, FIFA World Cup qualifiers. So we have our 3 autos, USA, Mexico, and Canada. Then we have Japan from Asia, New Zealand from the Oceania Federation, by the way, the OFC, which is not where Australia is at.
Makes no
They're
sense.
in Asia. Don't get me started on that. Iran is in. Sounds explosive. Argentina's in. Uzbekistan. Can't remember the last time Uzbeks were in it. South Korea, solid program. Jordan's in. Aussie, oi, oi, oi. Brazil, Ecuador, Uruguay, Paraguay, Colombia. If you can't tell, that's a little South American section. Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Algeria, Ghana, Cape Verde, South Africa, and Qatar, and for Africa. England, Saudi Arabia, Ivory Coast, Senegal. Wow, Africa gets a lot of teams in. France, Croatia, Portugal, Norway, Germany, the Dutch, Belgium, Austria, Switzerland, Spain, Scotland, Panama, Haiti, and for the first time ever, Curacao. So, Luke, I'm assuming you don't have an opinion on this yet. You're going to get your ball knowledge up. But Chase, I'm now talking just with you. I want your, out of these qualified teams so far, your favorite, your dark horse, and which one of the 3 hosts has the best chance?
I've been back and forth on my true favorite, but I'm gonna have to go with one. I gotta go with the GOAT, Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal. I love the roster that they've constructed going into this tournament. They just won Nations League in 2025. This is Ronaldo's last chance to win, and he just met with Donald Trump. So there could be a little riggery going on. I mean, we saw that happen in 2022 with Messi. So I love what Portugal's got. I mean, they've got the best midfield in the world right now with Vitinha, Bruno Fernandes, João Neves. I mean, absolutely loaded. The best left back in the world with Nuno Mendes and Roberto Martinez. Slept on coach. He's been phenomenal for Portugal. And then my dark horse, I don't know if you could necessarily call him a dark horse when you have Erling Haaland up top, but Norway, they went perfect in World Cup qualifying. They're definitely a dark
they're definitely a dark
they went
horse
perfect in qualifying.
They,
I know Italy and Israel were their only two toughest opponents, but they went perfect in qualifying. Erling Haaland had 12 goals in 6 games. 12 goals. That is absolutely ridiculous. If he stays on form like he's been with Man City and with Norway, I think Norway could make a little run. And then you know what? I'm homing here, but after these last 2 games against Paraguay and Uruguay, I think the U.S. has the best chance to go the furthest. Mexico has not looked good in this last round of friendlies. Canada, I'm not uberly impressed with Canada. They have great players with Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David, but the U.S., man, I mean, beating Uruguay 5-1 with their B squad. That is a phenomenal result. I love what Pochettino's doing for the Americans. I think the Americans are making a run. Pulisic's playing the best he's played. They're starting to figure out this midfield, and I have a lot less questions about this U.S. roster than I did this summer. So I think USA is going to go the furthest out of the 3 host countries.
All right. My pick as of right now to win it is going to be it's coming home to England. Harry Kane, it's basically his last chance to get it done as the striker for England. You've also got him backed up by Marcus Rashford on the left wing, Bukayo Saka on the right wing, Arsenal. You've got Morgan Rogers, you've got Elliot Anderson, you've got Declan Rice, and then Jordan Pickford in goal, who has proven time and time again to be huge in cup performances, like in the Euros, like in the World Cup. I think England finally gets over that edge that they have been seeking to do, and it is coming home. My dark horse, and this is where it's going to get kind of interesting, my dark horse is the United States. I think the United States has the absolute probability to make a deep run in this tournament. Again, 5-1 victory over Uruguay. I think under our new gaffer, this is a youthful United States team that plays with a lot of speed, not exactly that sloppy MLS style that U.S. teams have played with in the past. We've got a lot of guys over there playing with clubs in Europe. They're playing with high-quality teammates and opponents. I think this is a completely different United States team in this World Cup than we saw in 2022 and in 2016.
Well, we didn't qualify in 2018. 2014, yeah.
18, excuse me. No, we didn't. In 2014, that's what I meant. And then, I guess, if we're picking out those 2 rest ones, I think Canada goes further. Mexico. I think this is a deep Canada team led by Alphonso Davies, Jordan Davies. I mean, this is an unbelievable Canada team that we saw perform really well in the Gold Cup and kind of frankly choked their way out of a win. So is Canada up to the stage? I don't know. Love their gaffer from the U.S. I think they have a lot going from them up north. Interesting to see how those turf fields play out in Canada. But that is going to be my, I guess, out of Canada, Mexico pick for who's going to be the best out of North America because USA is absolutely
he is. He's playing for Argentina.
Dark horse pick.
Is Messi playing in this or no?
Yeah.
I thought last year.
You know how they do. He's turning back the clock. But I do want to say something. I love this England team too. Like they're so loaded. You forgot guys like Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice. I mean, they played phenomenal. And then you got Phil Foden coming off the bench, Cole Palmer. I mean, this is an absolutely loaded England team. Because if not now, when Harry Kane's playing the best soccer of his career, this is the team. It has to be the team. I completely agree.
This is the team.
England's another one of my favorites to win it. And then I think France is uber talented too. But I think that the winner has to come out of Europe this year. But I'm with you. I think this U.S. team, we look young. There's a passion back. Poch has brought that fire back. I mean, we've got guys that even coming from the MLS like Sebastian Berhalter and Alex Freeman that are bringing some energy to this squad. And then we've got some guys that are playing some major minutes in big leagues like Tanner Tessman, Christian Pulisic. Balogun's looked great. Malik Tillman over there in the Dutch league has looked great. I'm really excited for this U.S. team. I think we make a really far run. I could even see us getting into a semifinal, kind of how Morocco did in 2022. But maybe I'm homing a little bit, but I would love to see the Americans get into the semifinal at home.
I agree. No, I wholeheartedly agree. Now, we do have some slots to fill. And with UEFA, we have 4 paths from a draw where we will find our next 4 European teams. I'm just going to go quick here because we're kind of running low on time. Give me your winner from each path.
I got Wales coming out of this one. They're going to be at home for that final regardless, so I'm going with Wales.
Give me the Italians. I think they're so due. I know this isn't as strong as an Italy team as we've seen in past World Cups and past Euros. However, I think there's enough Italian blood to get it done. I mean, Italy is known for their World Cup runs, but you got to get back in it. You can't miss back-to-back World Cups. It would be completely unacceptable for the Italian Football Federation. Give me Italy. Path B, I'm going Poland. I'm totally homing here. I am Polish. Robert Lewandowski needs to be in this World Cup. Could be his last one. So, and not to forget, Szczesny's played elite in goal.
I agree. Szczesny
Give me Poland.
Could definitely do it, but I just don't know if Poland's deep enough. Sweden has so many stars. They just haven't been able to quite put it together. They have probably the best strike partnership in the world right now with Victor Gyökeres and Alexander Isak up top, and that just hasn't really come to fruition. They're loaded everywhere. Kulusevski. I mean, this Swedish team should make it out of Path B, but you know what? I'm going to go with Poland as well, too. I think Lewandowski makes a run here at the end. Poland just always finds a way to make it in the World Cup, and I think the Poles will get it done this year.
Yes, we do. And I will be going to a game if Poland makes it. So, Path C. Which is the draw I wish Poland would have gotten. Give me Turkey. I mean, they're a solid national club. I do think Slovakia give them a run for their money. I think Turkey will have no issue with Romania, and Slovakia will have no issue with Kosovo. But give me Turkey, maybe in a 2-1 victory over Slovakia.
Completely agree with everything you said. I think it's going to be
final, though. Who do you have?
Turkey versus Slovakia, and I think Turkey just has a little bit more quality in the team with Arda Güler, but I'm going to go with Turkey.
And then Path D, we have Denmark, North Macedonia, Czechia, and Ireland. Give me a Denmark-Ireland Path D final with the Irish losing in some heartbreaking fashion to Denmark.
I agree. I think Denmark's the better team, and I do think it's going to be Denmark versus Ireland in the final. But you know what? Ireland, to even get to this point, they had to beat Portugal and had to get a result in their final game against Hungary. And you know what? Troy Parrott has been phenomenal for the Irish. I want to see Ireland in the tournament, so I'm going to go with the Irish.
Notre Dame Irish and the Fighting Irish. All right. And then the Intercontinental Playoffs. I think this is very easy for Path 1. And for those listening, New Caledonia plays Jamaica, winner plays Congo of the Dominican Republic. Path 2, Bolivia plays Suriname, winner plays Iraq. I think this is honestly, I think it's pretty straight up and simple, both paths.
Completely agree. I think Iraq could give Bolivia a game, but I think Jamaica is easily the most talented team in Path 1, and then Bolivia is easily the most talented team in Path 2, so I think the talent goes through. Could be explosive.
Could be explosive.
It could be explosive. Best things to happen this weekend as we wrap up every weekend show. I will start us off. Them motherfucking Cowboys got the job done against the Philadelphia Eagles. So stoked, 24-21 win. Had me off my feet, had my dad off his feet, had my dog freaking out as she was in her Cowboys jersey. Ever since, by the way, I put the jersey on Dixie, my baby lab, when we were down 21-0. That's all I'm going to say. 24 straight points ever since I put the dog jersey on at halftime. Get DK'd. That is not the way you thought I would say it, but it is get DK'd. Shamira DK in our returner point league that we have, not only did he have a receiving touchdown and like 50 yards receiving, He had 5 receptions. He also had 188 return yards and a return touchdown. Shamir Adike had 40 points if you have him in a return league. Absolutely dropped his nutsack on Charlie Harrell, even though I will still probably lose because everyone on Charlie's team decided to just have an immaculate week. And, dude, the coaching carousel is so fun. Like, in what other world would I be looking up the specific picture of a wheels up camo twin propeller jet to get the tag number to find out that tag went from Slidell, Louisiana to New Orleans to Auburn University? Ooh. Welcome to Auburn University, John Sumrall. And in case you don't follow the Twitter, we have broken it already. LSU is getting Lane Kiffin. John Sumrall is going to Auburn. But that's just from some inside sources. Luke, what's your best of the weekend?
I got the Pope rave. The Pope threw a rave down in Mexico.
Which is crazy.
It was insane. The Pope, I've been seeing a bunch of memes about him because apparently he's not real. He literally got asked, he was like, how do you feel that you've eaten the most hot dogs out of any Pope? And he's like, I only eat them with mustard and ketchup. And he's the first Pope who's a Bears fan. Maybe that's some foreshadowing here.
Yeah, wow.
But I got the Pope rave, and you got to get DK'd. I got Gibbs, 260 yards from scrimmage, 11 receptions, 3 touchdowns, 55 fantasy points. I'm absolutely hanging a number on Joseph. It's great. We're back. I'm about to score 200. It's amazing. And then my bonus bet, so DraftKings, I was talking last episode about the free bets. If you just do the thing, it reveals a player. If you hit all 7, you get a bonus bet, a split of a 25 grand prize. I was sweating on my life. I had the Pats money line, which was a sweat. I had Ravens by 3.5, which was also kind of a sweat. I had the Seahawks by 4.5, whatever. Then I had the Lions by 4.5. The only way I hit that bet is if the Lions go to overtime, and they did. So I won $100-something. That is what.
First off, look, I want to say that's a phenomenal beat right there because those games were all hanging in the balance at some point today. So phenomenal beat right there. But I got to start off with Arch Manning had a phenomenal game against Arkansas this weekend. 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and 1 receiving touchdown. First SEC quarterback to do that since 2012, I might add. So, he's really turned it on over the last 4 weeks, and we're maybe hopefully seeing something of what's to come for the future of the Texas Longhorns. And then we're moving over to the English Premier League. Liverpool, big rival of my team, Manchester United, for you guys that don't know. Liverpool has lost 6 games out of their last 7 games, and they lost 3-0 to Nottingham Forest this weekend after spending $500 million this summer on transfer fees, which is ridiculous. $500 million for any team. What they're doing is pretty much what the Dodgers have done with Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto and bringing in all those players. So phenomenal. It's just great to see that, when a team spends that much, they are playing as poorly as they are. So I love to see it. And then lastly, the boys beat the Eagles. That's always going to be on my list. Anytime that we can beat that terrible team up north, those ugly green Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, Dak played great. I'm really impressed with what the Cowboys did. And shout out Coach Schottenheimer, another big win.
And that'll wrap it up for episode 24 of Sweat Summer Sports. Our first with Chase on as a permanent member. We will be back Wednesday breaking down the weekend of the Premier League, an elite college football rivalry week, feast week in college basketball, as well as week 13 of the NFL. So much on tap for next week. Make sure to tune in on YouTube or Spotify. Please follow us on TikTok at Swiss Army Sports SP, as well as on Instagram. This has been Will Spain along with Luke and Chase. Good night.